Hello and welcome back, everyone, to Harmony of Dissonance Part 2 on Rocket Rabbit Commentaries. In this episode, we'll be taking on the first boss, which is a very famous boss.
Oh?
Yes, it is the first boss of the original Castlevania 1, the Giant Bat.
It is actually a conglomerate of smaller bats.
Yeah, like several instances of Giant Bat have just translated themselves as Bat Company. Yeah, as past Gerdat is attempting to explain here, Bat Company / Giant Bat has a rather exploitable loop that you can get him in to where you don't actually end up taking damage if you're doing it correctly. I am not doing it correctly, but that is because I'm trying to do I'm trying to be a bit more active in the fight instead of just letting the fight play out. Thankfully, Juice's whip has the ability to disable a good portion of the enemy projectiles in the game, and this is actually a godsend for a good portion of both the castle exploration and the boss fights.
So he drops a fireball, he drills down, and boom, he's dead.
Yeah.
Burn!
And in classic Castlevania faction, we have the ability to pick up soul orbs. You should notice, however, that Giant Bat / Bat Company is entirely skippable. It is not. In fact, I have gone through multiple casual playthroughs where I have just not fought Giant Bat until the end of the game.
But you do eventually have to fight Giant Bat.
You do not eventually have to fight Giant Bat, actually. You can skip him for the entirety of the game.
Interesting. Good dog.
He doesn't actually block off anything. It's one of the weird parts about the castle design, in that Giant Bat and I want to say his counterpart when we get to the spoiler section do not actually need to be taken down. There, that is me showing off what is the Iceland glitch.
I mean, kind of, but otherwise you're just waiting until double jump in order to get that particular heart container up.
Yeah, but this is the actual really important one. You're not supposed to be able to do this jump until much later.
Vlad's ring. Well, it seems,
right.
alternate
Vlad's
pathway.
ring is really important as it's one of the pieces of Dracula. Yes, we will need to collect all the Dracula relics throughout the game because we're effectively. I would go so far as to say that Harmony of Dissonance is a reimagining of Simon's Quest. To be perfectly honest, it is using Simon's. It is using Simon's Quest as an interesting backdrop at the very least.
More noticeable by fans of the game series, as I am just jumping on, and this is like the 4th or 5th Castlevania game that I've seen a playthrough of. Yeah, that little comparison would have escaped me.
Okay. That was the knife sub-weapon. A majority of the knife spells are actually really good. The knife itself is still crap.
Hey.
Because I don't want to turn off the spell book, I don't actually end up showing off on knife's normal normal attack animation, but you know what it is because you've played some amount of Castlevania before. You know what the knife does. You throw it forward and it deals a small amount of damage.
Wailing way.
Yes. We also just got the Fairy Journal, and the Fairy Journal allows us to see. Is the Fairy Journal the bestiary? I think the Fairy Journal is the bestiary.
Well, these are some fucked up looking fairies.
No, the Monster Tome is in fact
that would
the
be the bestiary.
Thank you.
Yeah.
The Monster Tome allows us to see the names of the enemies that we are fighting, which is very nice.
Ghost. Rock
Armor.
The lesser known cousin of Rock Lobster. Ghost.
Here's the thing. I think Rock Lobster would actually be significantly less famous in Castlevania lore.
We were at the castle. Everybody had matching flames.
There we go. A mana prism. That is just a mana potion. You consume it and you restore your mana.
Sweet.
It's kind of sweet, to be perfectly honest. The thing about mana in Harmony of Dissonance is that Juiced actually regens mana relatively quickly, and since you're only using your mana for spells, you don't really need to restore your mana actively pretty much ever. You can just have it passively restore, and that's usually enough for you.
One thing that I've noticed about this game, especially with the dodge mechanics, that Juiced is a very fast and flexible dodging character, that the game motivates you to be pretty aggressive, and what will keep you aggressive is a dearth of mana that will allow numerous successive strong attacks in order to really shorten boss fights.
And once again, we managed to show off the Ice Lance glitch in order to pick up Logos Ring. Unfortunately, Logos Ring is a relic that is a accessory that we'll never actually use, because although the sub-weapon rings, I believe, increase the power of the spells that they're associated with, I don't really need to use them, like, ever. Like, the sub-weapon spells that I will be using are powerful enough on their own without boosting that they can carry you through a good portion of the game relatively easily. And we are coming to the bottom of Wailing Way. Yes, the shrine of the apostates. Go back up there and pick up the potion, past Gerdat. Yeesh.
That's why it is there. Lizard Man.
Yes. I honestly really like having Rolling Inferno as my active spell, because it makes relatively quick work of a majority of the enemies in this part of the game.
Good dodge. Not so good dodge.
Yeah. I'm not actually good at this game, like, at all. But I am able to finish it, so that's why we're doing a run through.
Well, just as long... I mean, I can withstand some ludicrous names like Lizard Man, just as long as we don't run into Sword Man.
We're not going to run into Sword Man, but we are going to run into Victory Armor.
Victory Armor? Victory Armor sounds pretty good. Well, I mean, it's not victory for you, it's victory for your enemy.
Yeah.
Not so good. It's your defeat. Crit.
So what is new in the world of Cloud as we continue to explore the Shrine of the Apostles?
Well, how about getting my butt kicked in Resident Evil 7 Arcade over and over and over again, when all I'm trying to do is just make it to the end of the game? Oh boy. It gets pretty tough. That if you let your guard down for just a second too long, then in a very Dark Souls-like fashion, you will watch numerous minutes of build-up become squandered.
Alright, here's another sub-weapon for us, the cross. I don't actually
Nah,
pick it
you
up.
failed to get it. It's okay, though. It will probably show up again.
The cross sub-weapon is honestly one of the better defensive sub-weapons in the game, but its spell for ice is honestly not that good. What it does is it forms an ice shuriken that shoots out a bunch of tiny ice shard missiles at foes in front of you. And although it's really graphically impressive, it honestly doesn't actually do all that much better damage than Rolling Inferno does.
Maxim, how did you get here?
Oh, Maxim is significantly better if you're good at the game than Juiced is. Maxim is arguably the best Belmont that we've ever had, despite the fact that he is not a Belmont.
What did you say?
Your memory is coming back to you?
I've been feeling strange since coming to the castle. If we continue further, perhaps I will be able to recall something.
Come on, let's go together, Maxim.
No, if we're going to find Liddy, we must separate. We'll cover more ground.
Yes, you are right.
Be careful, Juiced.
Watch your back too, Maxim.
Bye.
I like Juiced. Maxim, I also like the story behind Maxim, although Maxim himself I'm a bit iffy on. I mean, Maxim plays really goddamn nicely once you know what the fuck you're doing with him, but I don't, for one, and for two, Maxim's story ends up being, not as good as they want it to be. Here we have the living armor.
It's a little smaller than the Salazar statue.
Yes, and it is significantly more exploitable.
Yep, because his swing is too far reaching, so he's not attacking the short range when he swings.
Or, you can just sit right here and just spam him.
Crit. That is silly. Quick, he's weak at the knees.
Is it 4? Yeah, it's 4. You have to actually time Juice attack correctly in order to get him into this lock, but once you have him into that lock, he's just toast.
Jesus Christ.
Juice mode has a small problem when it comes to the difficulty of the bosses, mostly in the fact that several of them have really, really exploitable weak spots. However, I argue that this is honestly really good for new players to the genre, specifically because it makes it so that you never feel too underpowered when it comes through the normal game.
Underpowered is right. Well, rather, not feeling underpowered. I didn't even know that you had that slide dash attack. That was really cool.
We just got this.
Nice.
The lizard tail gives us the ability to slide, and the way that the slide works is interesting because it uses your attack strength from your whip in order to determine how much damage it does. So for a lot of the weaker enemies like zombie skeletons and normal bats, yeah, Juice can actually just slide right through them,
which is good. Versus the whip,
it is
where
very good.
You
Again,
stand
the game
still.
the game wants to emphasize Juice's speed, agility, and his offensive presence. So they give him a few steroids that other characters from Igavanias really wish that they had.
Yeah.
Specifically, the damaging slide is something that Soma really fucking would have liked, but he didn't get it. So
sounds like speedrunning bait to me.
It's mostly speedrunning bait, I'll grant, but it's really good speedrunning bait because it feels good to execute on.
So basically, if you're speedrunning this for the rest of the game, you're doing a combination of dash and slide kick.
Yeah, you're doing a combination of dashing forward in order to jump over enemies and slide kick in order to go through what enemies you can go through. Although the amount of enemies you can go through with the slide is less than you'd think. Honestly, it's not really a good offensive option. It's great for mobility certainly, but it's not really an option that you use offensively all that often. Like this flea man, sure, I could slide through him, but he's also a flea man, so if I screw up the jump, he's gonna land on my head and deal a small amount of damage.
Medusa head.
The reason why we're back into the entrance / the marble corridor is because we needed slide to go through here, so we can pick up the fire book and the summer clothes.
Bring me
now that we
my
have the
summer
fire book,
wardrobe.
we have the ability to switch between our two different spell books. The fire book is honestly really, really powerful for most of the sub weapons. We get the Rising Inferno on the Bible, which is really, really nice. Because it deals, I think it's 5 hits it deals like 5 hits over a period of time in that vertical cone. In the next episode, we will continue on with Harmony of Dissonance. Be safe, everybody.